Hey, can you hear me? I'm calling for help now. Hello, we need an ambulance!
Oliver Grant had been preparing for weeks for the most important interview of his life. The position at a rising London tech firm promised stability, prestige, and the sort of salary that could finally move him out of his cramped flat in Croydon. He woke before dawn, pressed his only navy suit and rehearsed answers in the mirror, determined not to stumble. The morning air over London carried a light drizzle, the sort that blurred the pavements and made black cabs glisten under street lamps. Oliver checked the time on his phone while hurrying toward the Underground. His interview near Liverpool Street was less than an hour away. Everything depended on punctuality and a confident first impression. Just outside a small cafe near the station entrance, he noticed a woman crouched beside the curb. Papers had scattered across the wet pavement, and a wheel from her small suitcase had snapped clean off. Commuters flowed around her like water around a stone, each too busy to stop. She looked frustrated but determined not to cry. Oliver hesitated only briefly. He could still make the train if he hurried. Yet something about the way she tried to gather her papers while keeping her coat from dragging in puddles tugged at him. With a sigh, he stepped forward, kneeling to help collect the documents before they soaked through. "Thank you," she said, her voice calm but strained. Her accent was polished, her tone measured. She explained she had an important meeting, and her phone battery had just died. The suitcase wheel refused to cooperate. She glanced at the clock tower nearby, clearly worried about time slipping away. Oliver checked his own watch again. He was cutting it fine now. Still, he couldn't simply abandon her. He offered to carry the suitcase and suggested the cafe might have a charger she could borrow. Together they ducked inside, escaping the drizzle while he asked the barista for assistance. The cafe owner lent a charger without hesitation. While the woman waited for her phone to power on, Oliver tried adjusting the suitcase wheel with a small multi-tool he carried on his keyring. It wasn't a perfect fix, but he managed to stabilize it enough for short distances. She watched with quiet appreciation. Her phone finally flickered to life and she made a brief call, apologizing for a delay. Oliver noticed how confidently she spoke, issuing instructions rather than excuses. When she ended the call, she smiled warmly at him. "You've probably made yourself late," she observed gently. He admitted he had an interview but shrugged it off. "Someone once helped me when I was stuck," he said. "Felt right to return the favor." She studied him thoughtfully, as though memorizing his face. Before leaving, she asked his name and wished him the best of luck. By the time Oliver reached Liverpool Street, his chance had slipped away. Traffic delays and missed trains conspired against him. He arrived 20 minutes late, breathless and apologetic. The receptionist informed him the hiring panel had already begun reviewing other candidates and couldn't reschedule that day. He left the glass building feeling hollow. Weeks of preparation dissolved into disappointment. He replayed the morning in his mind, questioning whether kindness had cost him his future. Yet deep down, he knew he would have made the same choice again. Some things mattered more than punctuality. 2 days later, Oliver received an unexpected email. It invited him to attend a follow-up discussion at the same company headquarters. Confused but hopeful, he pressed his suit once more and returned, determined not to miss this second opportunity. He wondered what had changed. This time he arrived early. The receptionist greeted him with a curious smile and directed him to the top floor, far grander than the interview suite he'd previously seen. Plush carpets muted his footsteps. Framed awards lined the corridor, hinting at corporate success and influence. He was shown into a spacious office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Thames. The city skyline shimmered beyond the glass. Standing by the desk, reviewing documents, was the woman from the cafe. She looked different now, composed and commanding in a tailored charcoal suit. Oliver froze in astonishment. She turned, recognition lighting her eyes. "Mr. Grant?" she said warmly, extending her hand. "I'm Eleanor Whitmore, Chief Executive Officer." The words echoed in his mind. CEO, the very top of the organization he had hoped to join. He struggled to process the revelation. She gestured for him to sit, and recounted how she had been traveling incognito to assess regional operations. The meeting she nearly missed that morning had been crucial. His assistance had allowed her to arrive composed rather than flustered. "I was observing more than operations that day," Eleanor admitted. "I was observing character." She explained that while qualifications and punctuality mattered, integrity mattered more. When she learned he had been scheduled for an interview, she requested his file personally. His credentials were impressive. Oliver listened, stunned as she described how rare genuine kindness was in competitive industries. Many candidates boasted leadership skills, but few demonstrated empathy without expectation of reward. "You didn't know who I was," she said softly. "That's precisely why it meant something." She offered him a position, not the entry-level role he had applied for, but a place within a strategic development team working directly under senior leadership. The responsibility was significant, the salary generous. Oliver felt disbelief mingle with gratitude. He accepted, of course. Yet more than excitement, he felt validation. The risk he had taken by stopping that morning had not ruined his future. It had reshaped it entirely. Over the following months, he proved himself diligent, innovative, and collaborative. Eleanor kept a watchful, approving eye. Their professional relationship grew into mutual respect. She often cited his story during leadership meetings, reminding executives that company culture began with everyday decisions. Oliver never sought attention for that rainy morning, but it quietly defined his reputation within the firm. One evening, months later, Oliver passed the same cafe where they had first met. The memory returned vividly. Scattered papers, broken wheel, drizzling sky. He realized how easily he might have walked past, just another commuter prioritizing self-interest. The difference had been a simple pause. Inside the company, he spearheaded initiatives encouraging employees to volunteer in local communities. Productivity rose, not from pressure, but from shared purpose. Eleanor observed that compassion and profitability were not opposites, but partners. The firm's success strengthened alongside its culture. Oliver eventually moved from his cramped flat to a modest home overlooking a park in Greenwich. On moving day, he reflected on how unpredictable life could be. A missed train, a broken suitcase wheel, a choice to help. Each had been threads in a larger design. At a company anniversary celebration, Eleanor raised a toast. Without naming him directly, she spoke about the power of unseen character. "The most important interviews," she declared, "are the ones life conducts when we believe no one is watching." Oliver met her gaze across the room, understanding the truth of her words. Years later, when new graduates asked Oliver for career advice, he didn't speak first about strategy or networking. He spoke about integrity. He told them that ambition should never silence humanity, and that sometimes the greatest opportunities arrive disguised as inconveniences on rainy mornings. The story of how he missed his interview spread quietly through corporate corridors, retold as a reminder that success built solely on self-interest remains fragile. What endures is the respect earned through uncalculated kindness. Oliver's career flourished, yet he valued most the lesson learned outside that cafe. He had stepped forward to help a stranger without knowing she was the CEO. In doing so, he demonstrated the very qualities the company sought in its leaders. Fate had not rewarded him for cleverness or charm, but for decency. And in the heart of London, that simple act changed everything.